Hello and welcome to Re-enthused. Today we are taking a look at, well, this beast, which is the Tatung Einstein. And yeah, it barely fits into the frame of the camera. It's that large. On this view, let's just stick my hand in to give you an example. I mean, it doesn't really, it's big. Now, this is a Z80 based machine. It didn't do particularly well, but it has a very important place in the 8-bit market because this machine was responsible for quite a few of the 8-bit classic games. Now, again, this wasn't very popular, so how was it responsible? Well, because most of the 8-bit programmers, well, maybe not most, but certainly an awful lot of them, used the Tatung Einstein to develop on because it was a much nicer keyboard than most of the others, and it just had more memory and just a much better working environment to develop. And so especially Spectrum games were made on these because it was just a lot quicker to program on these than it was on the Spectrum. And then they used the various serial options to squirt them across. So yeah, it genuinely has a real place in that 8-bit market because of that, but yeah, obviously not so much in the use of. Well, in terms of hardware, as you can see, like I said, a Z80, it had room for 2 3-inch bays, yep, just like the Plus 3 and the Amstrad various disk machines used in those days. I've replaced this one with a Gotek because it's just much more convenient than trying to burn 3-inch discs. Yeah, it makes it all rather convenient. Over here we have the attached power cord. It's nice and retro right there, so not a removable power cord. And yeah, this huge area back here, which we'll do kind of an overhead shot on, that's the whole machine inside there. It's not just space filler. But this does have quite a few options. So we can go around to the side and we can see you've got 2 analog ports, which are just for various use, MIDI and stuff. There's a serial port, RS-232 port, so that's what would have been used to move the data across to other machines and other reasons as well. And you'll see there's also a rather corroded looking RF port for the base level connection to a television just for a normal aerial socket. Now on the back we can see that there's another video socket all the way over there, and that's the one we actually be using. We've created a SCART lead for this, and there's also some changes you have to do inside, which I'll point out when we get inside this machine, and that allows you to get RGB SCART out, which is a much nicer picture. Mine's got a bit of gel barring moments. I need to do some work with some of the shielding, but it's much better than the RF was. And you can also see various user sockets and stuff to plug in peripherals and things, and there were quite a few for this machine. It obviously has used as a development machine. It got quite a few useful add-ons. And of course the giant power switch, nice industrial looking one, and yeah, that fitted power cable as well. Right, let's take a look inside. Right, well, getting inside this is pretty easy. We just have these 2 screws here. And oh. And once you remove those, the entire case just comes off like that. Really useful way of getting into a machine that makes it very upgradable, or easy to play around with anyway. Right, so inside, what you can see most of all is the giant floppy cable I used to connect up the Gotek. I had to make a power cable as well to take it from the big Molex to the smaller floppy style Molexes. And yeah, you can see this one says version 1.21, read upside down. I'll maybe look up other versions. Maybe there were other versions. Over here there's a bunch of jumpers, which is what I had to change this from YUV encoding to RGB, so we could actually use it on a proper television. And yeah, there's a modulation circuit over here. Here's the spare bay here is for the second floppy drive, although you would need a split cable to power that, obviously. Another power connector though, so you could just use that straight away. Yeah, other than that, Down here we got our Z80 CPU, of course, the best CPU of the 8-bit era, as everyone knows. And yeah, it's a big board, and it's very spaced out, but it's quite neat as well. You don't get all of the kind of the curved soldering you get with a lot of machines of this era. This is obviously a very highly spec'd machine. It was obviously well engineered, but again, just didn't quite take off for various reasons, of price being, I would assume, one of them. That's usually the reason why these don't take off. But also, I guess the size as well would have put quite a few people off. It's huge power supply here. Yeah, the standard floppy connector inside. There's also an external floppy connector, by the way, so you can add an external drive, and it's also possible to add other solid state storage mechanisms to this, and even hard drives, but you have to play with the ROMs for that one. There is a second ROM there, so you can add bits in, much like the BBC Micro, really. In fact, this is quite analogous to the BBC Micro, other than using the Z80 rather than the 6502. So, in terms of literally its expandability, it's how much you can play with it and things like that. It's very analogous. So, yeah, it's an interesting machine. But what we should look at, really, are the games. And we are back. So, it's only been a couple of seconds for you. For me, it's quite longer because, yeah, it's quite hot at the moment in the UK, and the games room gets just really, really hot. So I have taken a small break in between. But here we are again. We're with the Einstein. And we have... well, this is the main screen. So it's not basic. So if you try to type in the standard... no, that's alpha log. Let's try that one. If you try to type in the standard print hello, that's an error. So this is literally, it's an operating system. So as you can see, MOS, so Microsoft Operating System, something like that. Yeah, so you have to load a DOS up separately. But we're not going to load a DOS up, we're instead going to load up, hopefully, Chucky Egg. And we do that by holding down Control and Break. There we go. Yeah, unfortunately, we don't have sound connected through to the SCART port at the moment, and the speaker is right at the front. It's very large, and so this is quite loud. So let's redefine the keys anyway. So, oh, that's a not working key. Interesting. Oh, so my A key doesn't work. I have to work that one out. Anyway. So, if we put S to start, one player. Right, so Chucky Egg. If you've got a, oh, this is very loud. I'm going to be fighting over the noise of this then. If you've played on an 8-bit machine, then, got myself trapped in a corner. If you've been playing on if you played on an 8-bit machine, then you almost certainly know Chucky Egg. It was, bit of a phenomena, especially on the Spectrum. It came out on quite a few of the 8-bit platforms. Spectrum is my favourite version, but this is a particularly fantastic one. It's very colourful, which is obviously not something that a Spectrum game can ever be really accused of. Oh yeah, of course you are. Of course you are. Right, let's go over here. There we go. So yeah, I mean, if you haven't played Chucky Egg, the idea is just to avoid, oops, the chickens, or goose, I think they're geese actually, sorry, get all of the eggs, and there's also birdseed, but the birdseed slows down the birds of indiscriminate variety. So yeah, so really, you're just after the eggs. And that's it, there's quite a few levels. It's a very simple game, but it's a lot of fun. And later levels get a lot harder. But yeah, so this version, it's very loud. I'll try and do something like that about that in post. Hopefully you can hear me over the sound. It's also very, very colourful and very, very fast. I mean, it's as fast as the Spectrum version. I'd say the Spectrum version is probably the fastest of the other 8-bit versions. Right, here's the elevator. And these aren't, they don't come in like a normal order. There's a gap, different gaps between them, so you have to plug it right. Anyway, it's a superb game, but we should move on because otherwise I will play this forever. Very flash. Right, so this is Le Mans. Oh, there you go. Very good sound. Very good sound. Just very loud as well. Uh-oh. So Q is speed up, which unfortunately probably means... I don't know what left and right is. Which unfortunately probably means A is slow down, and obviously that key isn't currently working on this machine. But no, it's a pretty enough looking game. With the animated steering wheel in the corner, that's a luxury most 8-bit machines wouldn't be able to afford. Am I even doing the steering here? I don't think I am. But anyway, yeah, pretty enough game. A bit loud to do on this. I don't know how even... Yeah, anyway, it's a pretty enough game, but let's move on to something else. Right, well, you can't go wrong with a version of Space Invaders, right? B right, C left, and slash fire. Fair enough. Weird keys, but hey. Right. It's a very simple version of Space Invaders. Very simple. And obviously we couldn't show off this without showing off Elite. Now, the version overall I've been told is not great, but the one thing I do see here is that it's a lot smoother and faster than the Spectrum version, which is expected. This is a faster machine. But yeah, already when you're pressing the buttons you can kind of tell that it's a bit slower. Don't know how we get out of here. Oh, there we go, we're out. Now, unfortunately, I believe this uses the A button. Oh, the A button works here, so that's interesting. So I don't know what was going on the other one. I don't know what the... Oh, there we go. Oh, that was... Wait, whoa, what's happening? Yeah, anyway. This is Elite. It's pretty quick. Certainly quicker than the Spectrum version. But, yeah. Don't know what the keys are. But there's firing. Yeah, it looks a lot like Spectrum version, other than yeah, just a bit faster. Right. Anyway, so yeah, that was the Tatung Einstein. This is the TC-01 model. It's a huge one. There was a much more compact and slightly more advanced one. It had better sound, slightly more memory, which was the the Tatung Einstein 256. It was also black. It looks quite smart. That one is much, much rarer than this one. I think they kind of dropped some of the expandability as well, and there was some compatibility problems, and not that many games were made specifically for that version, because yeah, as it was mostly used as a development machine, that's probably not that unexpected. But yeah, it's a good machine. It's another one of those ones which is kind of a shame it didn't take off. Again, I think it's probably price, because it was a very over-spec'd machine for its time. But no, I quite enjoy it. This one requires a little bit of work, I think, still inside, because there's a bit of noise going on. And I need to make a better cable up as well, just so I can get rid of those gel bars. But no, otherwise, I'm very happy with it. Although, where I'm going to keep it, I don't know. It is a genuinely large machine. It's bigger than, yeah, this is bigger than any other machine I've got. Bigger than the Archimedes or the BBC Micro or anything. So, yeah, don't know where I'm going to store that. But yeah, anyway, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please hit like. If you really enjoyed the video, please hit subscribe. If you didn't enjoy the video or you have something else to say, then please leave it in the comments below. See you next time.